We'll invite Bob Murphy to come forward and tell us the story about his early days in airlines of WA.
Well, over the years we've had some fantastic talks here, so interesting, but this is not going to be one of them. Unfortunately. It's a story of aviation history, and particularly in Western Australia, so I think it should be told and recorded. It all started in 1947-48, when just after World War II, the country roads hadn't been touched for years because of the war. Transport was almost non-existent, so anything that went to the country usually went by rail, and gradually this got fixed up over the years, but wasn't much point in having your newspaper sent down on Monday so you could read it on Wednesday afternoon, you know. So that's how the air delivery came about. Now, I'll just start with how I got this job. I was 14 years old, aviation, very much enthusiastic. And I was at high school in Kent Street, and I read in the paper that morning, the exact words still stuck in here, boy wanted to drop newspapers from an aeroplane. How would that look? Eh? So I said to Mum and Dad, that's it. They knew there was no point in saying anything else, you know. So I went into 22 Mount Street and lunchtime, because you had to catch a bus, you know, and I was only 14. And they said, I'm sorry, Mr. Bassett won't be in till very late tonight. I said, that's okay. So I sat there and I wouldn't move. And he came in at 6:30. And he said, are you applying for the job? And I said, certainly am. He said, well, you're too small. I'm about this high and weighed nothing. Oh. He said, have you been here all day, I believe? And I said, yeah. He said, I could not do anything else. You start tomorrow, kid. So that's how it was. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the newspapers would arrive, and they were done up in bundles, weighing those days £14. So big, and they were wrapped in binder twine and old newspapers around, you know, and each one had a sticker on it telling me where it had to be delivered to. We never landed. We flew in at between 200 to 300 feet, very slowly, and I'll get around to it and explain it when I see a picture of the aircraft, how we used to go about it. But the pilot would drop his hand like that and scream out, drop, and I'd let him go. And the newspaper agent would be there waiting. One instance, I'll just briefly say, this guy drove his beautiful Vauxhall car out onto the yes, straight into the roof. Flattened it. Now, we'll get back onto the airlines at WA. They were quite large. They were eventually taken over by Mickey Mouse Airways, but all I ever used to fly was Perth, down south. We never went to those other places with the newspaper. There are the towns we used to drop the newspapers at. Later they deleted Bridgetown, Nannup and Manjimup. Anybody who wanted from Bridgetown, they used to have to come into Bunbury and pick up their papers from there, but that didn't worry me. We used to take off from Perth and fly direct to Bunbury, first stop. We used to overfly Pinjarra, all those, did them on the way back. We'd come into Bunbury about 45, 50 minutes after leaving Perth, and then we would go to Donnybrook, over to Bustleton, and it hasn't got Capel there, but we did. We dropped it in Capel, and then Brunswick, Harvey, Yarloop, Maroona, Pinjarra, back home. I'd be airborne for about 3.5 hours a day, 6 days a week. For a 14-year-old kid, that's absolutely fantastic it was. Now the aircraft, the first were the one on the left, the de Havilland Rapide. I don't know whether anybody familiar with the Rapides. They are, even today, if one was parked out there, you'd look at it and say, what a beautiful, graceful looking machine. They had wonderful engines, Gypsy 6s, and all the time I was there, we never had one problem with it. Now, the back seat on the right-hand side was my job. I used to have to take the seat out and lift the carpet up, and there was a trapdoor, about exactly the same size as that, underneath the rear seat, which was, of course, unknown to the passenger in that. That folded up, left the hole like that. The bulkhead was behind me here, and I had a very large belt and a cable, which stopped me from falling out, which I did. But on several occasions, it didn't used to worry me. I only used to go in, legs hanging out, and I'd grab the seat and come back. It used to bump, and it was so confined. So we'd go down to Bunbury, first stop, and I'd put all the papers, bundles to one side, and as we came in, I'd get them here in front of me. The door was right in front of me, and I'd have a pack of six times 14 pound, and drop, and away they'd go, and I'd reach over and get the rest, let them go. Then we'd move on to Donnybrook, and I'd sort the Donnybrook bundles out there. That was my job, yeah. And so they go for the whole trip. There's a couple of stories I'll tell you at the end of this, but the Rapide was just a wonderful plane to fly in, and believe it or not, the pilot and I used to get a complimentary newspaper. And once we were up, I mean, anybody can fly a plane once you're up there. The pilot would actually get out, sit there and read the newspaper, and let me fly it for about 25 minutes. He did. I'd get back out and get in, so went on. And then, regretfully, and I do say regretfully too, we got rid of the Rapide, and tragically it went up north and burnt, and we ended up with the Anson. And that was a different matter altogether, because with the Rapide, you could kick the bundles out and you could see them go right down to the ground where they hit, and that's relevant to a later story. With the Anson, they had a trapdoor on the left side. Anybody familiar with Ansons know they've got two spring-loaded doors where they used to drop various things out, and we used to push them out there so I couldn't see the ground. And I didn't like the Ansons at all. Yeah, that's the Avro Anson, and just if you have a look at the windows, the second one from the rear, it's got a little something written underneath. That's where the chute was, and they came out there. But no, not my type of aeroplane after flying in the Rapide. Now, this is not the Rapide. This is the Ford Edsel of de Havilland. A dreadful piece of equipment. It's the de Havilland DH90. It's a four-seater. It's got the Gypsy Major engines, and it's all plywood. It's not like the Rapide that was fabric. Now, the pilots absolutely hated that thing. It was used to do the paper run. There was a pilot, a real character called Colin Cook. I think probably most of you know him anyway. And he and Wally Andrews were taking off in the paper run, and it swerved, swung, ended upside down on the runway. Colin Cook never got hurt, but Wally Andrews copped about 50 14-pound packages of newspaper. There's a picture of it. There it is in all its glory. That's how it should have come off the production line. It was so bad, this is absolute truth, so bad that the other pilots congratulated Colin Cook, shook his hands, said, God, you got rid of that thing. Yeah, there she is, and that's how it should have remained. Working with Airlines of WA Limited was something that stuck with me all my life. I've never worked with a company like it, and I don't know whether there's any around today. Everybody, from the boss down to me, I was the lowest of the lowest, 14 years old, and you got treated with respect, and it was just absolutely fabulous. And that picture, I think, tells the story. You see, they used to call me a hostess these days. What are they? They're flight attendants or something. There she is out there talking with the boys. Now, in all probability, one of those guys would have said to her, "Margaret, go back and get Frank Doggett and come out here, I want you to do." That wouldn't have been anything unusual. It was a wonderful place to work. And I made the biggest mistake of my life when I left, and I could have been an apprentice with Frank Doggett, who was a master lame of all time, in my opinion. I'll just tell you a couple of stories that they are true about dropping the paper. This both happened in the repeat. We used to come along in the strip in the Bunbury, and at the end of the strip was a road, not the airstrip that is now, it's another one, but the road was made right at the end of it. I had a bit of a bump and a bit of a delay. What I should have done was yelled out to the pilot, "Go round," but 14-year-old kids don't tell pilots to go round. So the last 6 bundles, 6 times 14 pounds, and they believe that they all go down together. Instead of dropping here, I dropped about there. I could see them go down, and as I did, I could see they're going to hit the road. An old utility came along. You know, remember the old wooden back things, you know, made out of pickets or something or other? And I could see the driver, this all happened in about a second, but I could see the driver, you know, open, oh no. And they missed him, they went just behind his head and they hit the back of the ute. 6 of them at 90 knots, boom. Well, it just exploded, it just looked like a hand grenade had hit it. And as I looked down, now this is absolutely true, I could see the chassis, the tail shaft and the dip. There was nothing left. It went into the water table. And I'm looking down and I thought, oh gosh, I never said anything to him. Thought when I get back, you know, we got back to Perth, waited, nothing. Not a word was ever said. I think what it was, a ute must have been pretty much the wreck. And I think the news agent must have sorted it out, you know. But another time, now this was nearly a tragedy, and this today I still feel a bit shaky on this one. Remember, we've got this little hatch, bulkhead, myself strapped in. There was a ship running aground off Bustleton. So West Australian newspapers used to charter the planes so they could do what they liked. So they sent this photographer up, and quite a big bloke, going to photograph the ship. So he said, well, I can't photograph it through the perspex. What I'll do, he said, I'll come back with you and we'll photograph it through the open hole. So, but he gets down on his hands and knees. He said, look, you remember when your kids used to have that wheelbarrow, put the legs under here? I said, yeah. He said, I'll do that and I'll hang out and you hang on to me. I said, yeah, right. Yeah, you do as you're told when you're 14. You know. So here he is, hanging out there. I got his knees are here, legs back there. I'm holding back. He started to slip out. He really did. And I was that terrified, I should have yelled out the pilot, you know, please help him. And luckily for him and me, his feet came up here. And there he was, hanging out. And I thought, any minute now, I'm going to join that ship, there's nothing sure. And I was just terrified, absolutely terrified. And after it seemed like about an hour and a half, the camera came up, the hand came up, grabbed hold of the seat in front, pulled himself in and said, oh, thank you very much. He said, oh, yeah, right. But getting back to the Airlines WA Limited, if you work there, you're really privileged. We used to go to work every morning. I'd get picked up at the Hurlingham Hotel along with another bloke called Keith Hahn. Perhaps some of you remember Keith. And we used to go in this old Chev 4 ute with a canvas back on it, and it was just the loudest thing. It was so noisy that the boys, this is no kidding, tied the old 20 litre or 4-gallon tin to the diff with a long piece of string, and he drove from Airlines Dublin up Fauntleroy Avenue, where it fell off at the greatest night. I never knew it was there. But with that, I shall say thank you.
Yeah.